Coming up on an all-new episode of B3rdPower, forgiveness expert Kyonna F. Brown is in the house, sharing her journey to healing through forgiveness. An all-new episode starts now.
Welcome to B3rdPower here on Urban Style Media. Hi, baby.
Hey.
It has been such a busy week and we have so much to catch up on.
We do.
So let's get started.
Let's catch up.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was amazing. I went out with the ladies of UUC, the unregulated, conversations with Shadonna Stubbs.
I was about to say the ladies that came and partied with us
sure
a few
did.
weeks
They
ago
came
with our
on.
open table conversation.
They did, and I'm looking forward to having them back on like we discussed. But I went out with them Saturday night. We partied with a purpose.
Yes.
And we went to Nipsey's Grill in
Upper
Marlboro, and it was Party with a Purpose. We collected socks for the homeless.
Okay.
Well, they're collecting socks. Let me say that they're collecting socks with a purpose, and it was really, really nice.
Good.
So if you're interested in either volunteering or donating to the cause. Oh man, did we list their information?
We do, because we definitely want to share the event for Thanksgiving, because that's what you're talking about, right? Yeah, so they're going to be feeding the homeless.
They're feeding the homeless on the 23rd of November.
Yes.
So hopefully we can make sure that the information is posted on our page. It's posted right now on the feed. So it's to feed the homeless for Thanksgiving, November the 23rd. Empowerment Essence is putting it on. Shanetta.
Yes,
Shanetta that came on. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And let me tell you, Vibe Band, Team Familiar, and Steel Band. I ain't partied in so long.
I was about to say.
I ain't partied
You are usually in the bed sleep.
Okay, so when I tell you I got in the house at 2 o'clock in the morning and I paid for it on Sunday, I paid for it on Sunday.
I was going to say, so did you really show your age?
I was at 1:30. I said, you know what? It's time to go
home.
There was one more band to go. I said, I can't do this. I got to go. But I had a ball. I really did.
Yes, and I wanted to go with you, but unfortunately, I've been out of town. But that's awesome.
Definitely next time. But like I said, if you guys want to donate, she's collecting not just socks, but of course because the homeless need everything.
Yes.
So if you have blankets, all kinds of things, T-shirts, whatever.
And I was going to say, is she collecting toiletries too?
Toiletries, she's collecting everything.
Okay. Yeah. So do you have the information now, or do we need to? We might need to post it on our Facebook page. So check that out. If you want to donate, we want to make sure you have the information of where you should be delivering the items.
Yes.
But that's so awesome, and I'm so glad you had a great time.
Empowerment Essence. If we can, we might get her in, because after the 23rd, they're doing another event in December
for the
homeless,
okay.
and they'll be doing another session. So
yeah, because she has an awesome organization. Really, so it would be good to get her in here to share more information, especially right now with that going on.
Definitely.
So we'll work on that.
And we're definitely going to have the ladies back in the studio.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
For that real conversation.
Yes.
Because they come with the real conversation.
We was live that night. We was live for sure that night.
They do.
But yeah,
what did you do?
So I had a great time. My weekend started off very busy but wonderful. I was the opening speaker for the network conference for the U.S. Postal Services Network Organization, and so that was a lot of fun. Opened their conference, and then of course, I was on the road this weekend celebrating the life of my uncle. My goodness, I don't know what possessed me. 10-hour drive down and back.
Where'd y'all go?
We had to go to West Virginia, so we're southern West Virginia.
Okay.
So it was 5 hours down, 5 hours back, and then all the in between. And you talk about somebody tired, but that's what you have to do because there was no way in the world I was gonna miss my uncle's my uncle's celebration of life. But so I did that and came back today. I did rest. My bed saw a lot of me today, and much needed. But yeah, so. Other than that, it was a pretty good weekend. Got to see some of my family members. Of course, we just saw each other a few months ago before my aunt passed, and so it's a lot. But we working through it. I'm
glad you guys are working through it one day at a time.
Especially when you have them back to back like that, and then there were some others that fell in between too. So there's a lot going on, but we made it.
That's good.
We made it.
I'm glad that you had safe travels and all of that.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm so grateful for that. But what's really going on.
But we also want to send a shout out to all our veterans.
Oh, yes,
today's Veterans Day. We want to send a huge shout out.
Yes.
Much respect to our veterans. We do not take it lightly.
Not at all.
What you do for our country and all of the sacrifices you make to make it
Each
happen.
and every day.
So we appreciate you. So shout out to our veterans. My grandfather was a sergeant in the Army, and I loved his. It sticks with them. They can't leave it.
No. It's trained. It's in them.
It's in them.
Yeah.
So shout out to all of our veterans.
And you're right, because I have so many family members as well who have served. So, and friends. We definitely want to say thank you so much for your time, for your service. We know it's not easy. Right. And you guys normally have a lot to work through when you come back. Yeah.
And the families that actually, the wives and the children that have to be without their loved ones, or the husbands that have to be without their loved ones as they go to make these huge sacrifices for our country. We appreciate you.
We do. We really do.
Yes.
But
now on to the
juicy part of B3rdPower.
I think this topic is more.
Look at you. I'm all excited, and you just you can't just give it away like that, man.
Okay.
Anyway, we are super excited because we have one of our own.
Oh, that part.
Yeah, we have one of our own in the house with us tonight.
Yes.
Super excited to have her studio family, and she has an awesome testimony and an awesome organization. So we can't wait to get her on tonight, Miss Kyonna T. Fields Brown.
Yes.
I said it all that time. Yes, I did.
And any of you that follow Urban Style Media knows that she also.
Yes, she has a show on here too. She is studio family. She does Forgiveness Fridays, but we're not going to tell you all that right now. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have up in the house with us Miss Kyonna Fields Brown. And remember, get your snack, and we'll be right back. This is B3rdPower
here. Is this a healthy snack or just a snack? Okay.
I was trying to behave myself tonight, but she don't want to behave. But that's okay. Get whatever snack you want, baby. If it's water, get that. If it's popcorn, get that. If it's a cookie, get that.
Yes.
If it's carrot stick, broccoli, maybe some fruit, get that too. Whatever you want to do, it's your world, baby. But whatever you do, come right back on the other side of this break. This is B3rdPower here on UrbanStyleMedia.com. You've been
is Denzel Bennett, CEO of Urban Style Media. I started this entity to give nonprofits, small businesses, an opportunity to display their gift in giving people the ability to live their dream. People that wanted to make a difference in the community oftentimes didn't have a platform, whatever's in their heart, whatever they want to do from a media standpoint, in terms of directors, producers, musicians. We want to allow everyone to have a conduit to display their craft. Currently we have 7 shows. The collaboration aspect of our platform is expanding every day. We encourage people to go for their dreams. And so in order to feed the community, we need to expand our base. And expanding our base, we want to allow more people to have an opportunity to come on air to talk about their initiatives. We've been open approximately 5 months. And in that time span, people have shown up willing to serve. It's been beyond my wildest expectations. The people that have shown up have been dedicated, have gone beyond and above the call of duty. We're going to continue to pursue community objectives and initiatives. We want to be a staple in the community. Our slogan is, Imagine Us. So imagine us being there for you and your dreams to help us serve the community in the best way possible from a media standpoint.
Welcome back to B3rdPower here on Urban Style Media.
Yes.
You know something we forgot to do.
No, I know.
Yeah, you did.
I know.
We forgot to send some love, send a shout out to BFF G3.
Hey, G3.
We miss you.
We do.
I hope you're watching. And
I hope you feel better.
Yes, we're so sad you're not feeling well, but your place is still here.
That's right. And for those of you that don't know that this might be your first time, G3 is our in-house musician.
Yes, our resident musician.
Yes, he brings us our music and our intros. And G3 is not feeling well today, so we hope that you feel better, sweetie, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. But now we have to move on to the honorary guest of this night. We are so excited to have in the house our studio sister, our network family sister, Miss Kyonna T. Fields Brown.
Thank you.
That's a lot to say. I'm going to have to cut that out.
Yeah, we can just say Kyonna F. Brown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kyonna F. Brown.
Kyonna
there you
F.
go.
Brown.
I don't know why the T keeps kind of trying to come out, but it makes sense.
Because you probably see it on my social media.
All the time.
On my whole government. Just.
Well, we're so glad you came to join us today.
I am good. And for those of you out there who were tuning in, sitting over there in the audience, it was really, really hard to keep a straight face. These girls, they're everything.
Yeah.
They're everything.
We try to keep them on their toes.
Absolutely. I mean, if you don't laugh, then I mean, you're supposed to laugh. It's good for the soul.
You know, it's about having fun. You know, you want to have fun at the same time and bringing content to people.
Yeah.
But we just want to have fun and have a good time.
Well, I am at home, but this makes me feel even more comfortable.
Definitely.
Yay.
Good. Just going to have us some girl talk.
Yes. So we know who you are, but tell our audience a little bit more about who Kyonna Brown is.
Woo, Kyonna Brown is a lot. Sometimes I think about the things that God has allowed for me to endure and how he has allowed for me to prosper. And when I just think about myself, first of all, I'm a child of God. And he allows for me to do everything that I am doing right now. So some of you may know me as the forgiveness expert. And it's merely just because I've had to forgive over and over and over again in my life. And when you do something so much, you know, that's just like how people do crime. They call them career criminals. So I'm a career forgiver. So
I like that. A career forgiver.
The forgiveness expert. And for other people who may know me, I'm the premier pet care specialist. I own and operate with some amazing groomers a pet grooming facility in Forestville, Maryland called Pooch Styles Pet Grooming. We offer an assortment of services I am a licensed pet esthetician, and I provide therapy service. So there, I don't just practice forgiveness in my life, but I practice forgiveness with my clients there. So God has allowed for everything.
I know, right?
He's allowed for everything to align. And I know that my main goal, or what God has brought me here to do, is just to provide service for those who are in my environment. And that's just what I do every single day.
I want to go back to, so you said forgiveness. I love that. But she said a pet esthetician.
Yes.
Until now, I had never heard of that.
That's right. You got to have an esthetician for the pet. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, so what a lot of people really don't understand about pets is that their skin is their first defense. And if their skin is not protected, then that leaves room for bacteria, fungus, all types of bugs, parasites, and all of that to live within the skin. Their skin has to have a natural substance called sebum, and that's what we would call like the oil, and that creates a barrier. And so when they don't have that, then it's like their skin is breaking down. And so that's when everything, the environment just attacks their skin. Yeah. And so you have some dogs that come in my shop and their pet parents are wondering why they're itchy, or they don't even know that they may develop hot spots, which is a bacteria from an opening or things that get into the skin. So that's why I really, really call myself a forgiveness. That's why we deal with that in the shop, because we do provide that for their skin. And I know that over the years I've been grooming for over 22 years.
Wow.
Did you just try to hide your age?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. But I've been grooming for over 22 years. And in that duration of time, I've literally come across so many issues. I would go to different grooming expos and things like that. And I always have like this list of information. Okay, this dog is going through this. This dog is going through that. And they're like, okay, here, try this. Now try this. Well, now I know how the skin operates so that I don't have to listen to what someone says try. I know the science behind it so that we can help not only just cure what's going on with them, but we can also continue to have a healthy regimen so that this is not an issue.
For
what
the
you
fur
put in
babies.
is what you get out.
Because the fur babies need love too.
And they can't talk.
I know.
No, they can't. And so you can't figure out what's going on with them.
This makes me want a puppy even more now.
And the main reason, or I guess one of the biggest reasons I really, really love animals is because they are the most forgiving. They are the most forgiving. If you've ever noticed that they've done something, they might run away or you pop them, but the next moment they're right
back
next
with
to
you.
you.
That
like,
is so true.
Even some dogs I have that come in the salon, they're aggressive and they're just scared. And so they may behave that way, but once, I work with them, maybe even in that visit or a couple of times beyond that, it's just like, they're like, and I'm like, see, it's okay. Aww. And they're able to feed off my energy as well as I feed off of theirs. And then we just have a great relationship.
That is wonderful.
I love it.
I was going to say, so for all of you all who have pets, now you know where you can go to your pet esthetician and stylist that will help you get your puppy in order, as well as meet their forgiveness needs. Now, we've talked about your pet side.
Yes.
But now let's talk about your forgiveness side. What inspired you? I know you said over and over again you've had to forgive, but tell us a little bit about your backstory with your forgiveness that has led you to where you are now, because you have a very powerful movement going on, and I can't wait to jump more into that.
Okay, well, for a long time I didn't know that I had unforgiveness issues. And it wasn't until I was literally in a jail cell that I realized that I had unforgiveness. And it was more so I was blaming my dad, my father, because he wasn't there. I blamed him for going to the alternative lifestyle. I blamed him for the drugs that I used. I blamed him, or more so my mom and my grandparents, for allowing me to become obese, because they were the ones that were present. My dad was kind of in and out. But when I was in that jail cell, I was angry and I was upset. And I think that it was more so the anger that I had towards God. And a lot of times we don't look at the anger that we hold towards God, because we want to blame God for a lot of stuff.
Right.
You're the creator. You're supposed to be the one that helps me to get through these things, but it's like you're giving me these things to go through. And so after being in prison, I had a 4-year sentence. There was a lot of digging and research that I had to do with inside of me. Have you ever decided to say, hey, we do research projects and things like that for other things, or we may even study someone else, but have you literally sat down and studied yourself? And so in studying myself, I realized that I had a lot of unforgiveness issues that stem from the parental relationships that I had. And I had to look at everything that I did. And none of those things that happened, none of the paths that I've taken at that point in time were a result of what those people, my father or, the adults in my life had done. Because overall, anything that we do, it's a choice.
Right.
We choose to do these things. And I am a stickler for someone saying, oh, they made me do this, or because X, Y, and Z did this, now I'm doing that. No, that's just what you chose to do. And so I know today, as a result of being in that cell for 4 years, as a result of being around the people, as a result of researching myself, that I do not have to respond to your reaction. I do not have to react to your actions in that way. I don't have to blow up if you look at me sideways. I don't have to even get crazy if somebody cuts me off. Because at the end of the day, we don't realize how those small little things turn into big things.
Yep.
Have you ever been in a car and somebody cut you off and, you might have road rage. You get a little upset.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, right? So then you go into whether it's your workplace or you're going home, the next environment that you're in. And somebody does something or you just bring that attitude in there.
Right.
And so that is an issue of small unforgiveness that doesn't even have to happen. But because we responded to that action in that way, it allowed for us to carry that anger inside of us.
Right.
And that is truly a byproduct of unforgiveness.
I like how you definitely said that you had to dig deep within, because a lot of people cannot do that. And but you also mentioned that those small things to forgive about. So what are some of the first steps to moving towards forgiving others and also forgiving yourself?
Okay.
Because I know that you have to, after doing that soul search and digging deep, we have to forgive ourselves. So what are some of those steps that you can share with our audience and what you did in doing that? What did that process look like?
So, it sounds so simple.
It does.
When I share it.
It does.
But it can be the hardest thing.
Right.
And there was a moment in my life where I had gotten really low. I had broken up in a relationship and I ended up in the basement of the house that we stayed in, which nobody lived in. So at that point, it was pretty much an abandoned home with my pup. And I looked in the mirror when I woke up in the morning and I did not recognize who I was. Wow. And there's so many things that we go through in life and we don't sit and take the time to analyze them or to even look at our part in it.
Right.
So the first step for me to share with someone else is to just have a realization with yourself. You need to see what's going on with you, right? So that means you're going to have self-evaluation. And I just did a 90-day journey back to me where I went live on Facebook every single day. And I pondered through everything that I went through that day so that I would not take it into the next day. There's a saying that I say, if you change the way that you think, you can change the way that you eat, and that will alternatively change your life.
Right.
And so what do I mean by that? There are some processes, like just using the car accident for an example, or someone cutting you off for an example. There's a car, it cuts you off. Now, if for me now today, I'm like, oh, you're in a rush, and I leave it there. And so now that doesn't stick with me. Or I might do a hand gesture like, okay, you got it. You know, I'm not getting angry. I'm not in the car screaming, talking to myself where somebody looks at me like I'm crazy because I look crazy. Like, you ever realize if you look at yourself or there was an image, you look
exactly
crazy.
How you look, yeah.
And so instead of getting into that position, I just learned how to digress in those moments and relax. But when I get home at night, or even that morning before my next day in quiet time, then I'm able to see what happened yesterday so that I don't take those processes into the next day.
The biggest challenge I've seen with individuals in forgiveness in those steps, we're easy to forgive others, but not to forgive ourselves.
Very true.
And that challenge of being able to forgive yourself for either that bad relationship that you got into, or to forgive yourself for making that mistake that could ultimately be a lesson, but you still see it as a mistake because you haven't dug deep enough to realize that, to see the lesson in the mistake. Right? So a lot of times people get stuck in the forgiveness process because they haven't forgiven themselves. And
I call that stuck in a trap.
Stuck in a trap.
It's a toxic mindset, rejection, anger, and pain.
Yeah.
And so you have to become bold in that situation, which I call a believer, an overcomer, a leader, and a destiny grabber.
That's right.
And so once you stop allowing yourself to get stuck in that trap, as you said, self-forgiveness is the hardest thing to do. But you have to realize, like I said, the part that you play in it. And we do not want to see the part that we play in it. We're so busy.
That is such a great point. And I say that a lot to people, like, when you're in situations, yes, you want to forgive the other person. It's easy for you to look at a person and say, that was your fault. You did this to me and it caused me this. But at some point, you have to stop and look at yourself and say, what role did I play in it? What did I contribute to this situation turning out this way or going this way?
My mom used to always tell me, and she still says this is one of her sayings, that if you point one finger back at me, there are 3 pointing back at you.
Right.
So check yourself. You know, and sometimes you do have to check yourself in whatever that situation may be. If you're at work, on your job, and every time you turn around you're testy and you're always up to be rebellious or challenging, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you.
Right.
What is your role in that whole situation? You know,
I think that it's also important that we listen to the people on the outside, because a lot of times people on the outside can see clearer than we can because we're on the inside. And so sometimes we don't want to recognize when somebody is telling us that we're, doing something because we're so in denial. That no, I'm not doing that, or I don't do this, I don't behave that way. And I had to realize at work, sorry y'all, I had to realize that I would become snappy sometimes. There was a point in the business operation where I just didn't want to go to work. I was overwhelmed with bills, I was overwhelmed. I was in a larger facility, and it took a lot for me to move out of there. I wanted to please my clients. I wanted to have the doggy daycare area. People would come and be like, oh, this looks like a mini PetSmart. And we're so proud of you. And I was dying on the inside, dying. This was literally almost a year ago, dying. I was afraid that I was going to lose the business because I was trying to live up to someone else's expectation.
Yes.
And so in that, I would go to work and I was literally like an extra in my own business.
Wow.
I'm going to work. Every time somebody had a question for me, I don't know, I can't answer questions while I'm working. While I'm working, it's grooming time. I got to stay focused on the dogs. I'm giving you every excuse, everything to not deal with what was in front of me. Until one day I was at my breaking point. I was in my bed. I was crying out. I was like, God, I just can't do it anymore. I'm tired. Like, just really tired. I mean, like, gut crying, just like boo-hooing. And he dropped a life changer in my lap. And I had the choice right then to decide, no, I'm going to ride that out because I want to see how this happens. Or I'm going to make the decision to move. And God, whatever's going to come of this, you've given me this opportunity. I'm going to move. But that was like a roller coaster, because not only did I have to come to that realization within inside of myself, but I had to tell other people. I had to talk to my staff. I had to, at that point, decrease some people's pay so that I could make sure that there was a business. And so it took a lot of praying, a lot of quiet time for me to say, okay, Kyonna, you tried this. it's not working. You're hurting. I had literally gained almost 300 pounds. And so a lot of times people don't even understand when they're going through different things that they tend to lean on other things as crutches. And so food was one. And so even though I wasn't verbalizing my pain, I wasn't verbalizing my hurt. Oh, you saw it. You saw my body keep blowing up like this. And that's one of the reasons I am so big on, us looking at what we do day to day, figuring out, was this the right decision? Should I do this? Should I not do that? Should I go here? Should I tell this person that? Or what should I have done differently with the situations of the day? But I had to do it. And the first step to freedom was to forgive myself and to not care about anybody.
Unapologetic.
About what they had to
you
say.
You can't live your life in the woulda, coulda, shoulda. You live your life in the woulda, coulda, shoulda, and you'll always be replaying it in your head, and always
like a broken record.
Yeah, like replaying it in the back of your woulda, coulda, shoulda. Unapologetically live your life. That's it. That's it. So I'm loving this conversation, and we could actually go for more. We actually could, but we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and of course we'll be back on the ones and twos right after this.
Did you say the
ones and twos? Music. So
here on Urban Style Media, on the ones and twos. Welcome back to B3rdPower here on Urban Style Media. We are having an excellent conversation tonight with our Homegirl Network sister, Kyonna Fields Brown. I did it again. I was about to say the T again. But we want to continue our conversation about forgiveness tonight. And we left off at a great place, but I want to pick back up with a question. So we talked about being able to forgive ourselves and some of the steps that it takes to do that. What would you suggest going into this holiday season? You know, this can be a tough time for people just in general. A lot of people deal with depression, thoughts of suicide. It's a really tough time for a lot of people, not to mention dealing with family drama or
things that are left undone, unforgiven. What are some of the suggestions you have for people who are still dealing and processing through forgiveness that is going into this holiday season and possibly with the same family members or even with themselves with issues with forgiveness? What would you suggest that they do to help them get through this season?
Well, there are two things that God has placed in my spirit over the past couple of days, because the one thing that I do, I'm not just talking about forgiveness just from my personal experience. I actually research different things. And in my research over the past couple of months, I've realized that there are two main reasons that a lot of us are in unforgiveness, and it's because of identity and expectation. So in this season, I want you, before you even go, sometimes it's hard and a long process to truly know exactly who you are.
Right.
But you can know some things about yourself.
Yes.
You can know what you will accept, what you will not accept, who you can deny and who you won't deny. And so try to align yourself in an environment that will be conducive for what your identity is. And then also, when there are people who are coming at you, you got to understand your true identity. No, I'm not a person that's going to react to how you're acting. If we had a situation in the past, I'm going to show you my growth. And let me tell you, you may have not grown as much as you wanted to.
Right.
But forgiveness is a choice. It's not something that we grow. We can grow into making that choice, but it's not something that's actually placed deep within inside of us. It's something that we got to work at. Just like how you choose to eat this healthy meal versus eating that Big Mac meal, right? It's so hard sometimes, but sometimes you just gonna go that other route, and then after you ate that hamburger, you like,
miserable.
I shouldn't have ate that hamburger. And that's what forgiveness is like. If you choose to be the opposite, knowing your identity, how you're going to respond, even practice, rehearse. Have somebody that you're close with, give you those hard questions or those tough interactions that you may have at this holiday season. And then just go with the flow there. But you have to know who you are. And the other thing is that expectation. We place expectations too much on each other.
Yes.
Your expectation only needs to lie and lay with Christ. He is the only, not person, but the only thing that you should have expectation in. Because at the end of the day, I'm woman. At the end of the day, that's man. And guess what? Before any of that, if it's a mom, if it's your cousin, if it's your uncle, they were their individual selves first. And so you have to understand that they don't know how to portray that role that they are sometimes.
Right.
But what you don't have to do is say, oh, this is what an aunt or uncle is supposed to do. This is what my mom is supposed to do. And then when she does the opposite, then you don't feel some type of way because and this not for you, Mom, but it's just like, oh, that's just Diane. I already know how she is. Yeah. And so that allows for you to not then feed in and react to what she's putting out at that point in time.
It's funny you asked that question because I've seen a lot, how social media runs our life, but so I've seen a lot on social media lately where people are saying posts like, just because it's my family doesn't mean like I have to put up with you, or just because it's family, you don't have to hang out with them and all that kind of stuff. I get it. I totally get it. But like you said, I don't know if separating yourself, have you dealt with it? Right? So if you haven't dealt with it,
that's what I was going to say.
If you haven't dealt with the forgiveness part of that, and you're still holding on, it still seems very unhealthy and toxic to me. But if you've dealt with it and it's to the point where you're like, you know what, listen, I'm gonna come show my face 5-6 minutes, you guys, hey, but I'm cooking at my house and I'm gonna head back home, but not to like allow them into your space where it upsets you. But if you've dealt with it, that's fine. But if you haven't dealt with it and you continue to stay away, I feel like it's even more toxic in that you're not dealing with it.
I think it depends, honestly. In my opinion, I think it depends on how toxic the situation is or how the degree of the situation. Because sometimes depending on the relationship and the transgression or whatever happened.
Right.
Sometimes you have to separate yourself, like you said, set boundaries.
Yeah.
And the best way to deal with it is to remove yourself from the situation. You get what I'm saying? Rather than trying to force yourself to be somewhere and constantly challenging that area that you're struggling with, trying to recover in yourself. I hope I'm saying that right, because I know what I'm trying to say in my brain.
No, I got you.
But
I got you.
it's basically like, yes, you can go and say, well, I'm just gonna give them 5 minutes when I know that I gotta step into the room with something that's really bothering me.
And that's what I'm saying. So if you're still dealing with it, right? At what point have you began to practice forgiveness? Because I believe that in every situation there is an area for forgiveness, right? Whatever it is. And I know trauma. I've seen trauma. I haven't experienced a lot, but I've seen how it works in the psyche. If even in the point where you just don't want to be there, isn't there still an area of forgiveness that you have to reach to?
I mean, I think so, but I also think, for instance, I'll use myself as an example. There are things that I constantly subjected myself to that I did have areas of forgiveness. I did have unrealistic expectations, or I had expectations that I was projecting on people, right? And so I kept putting myself in situations with these same people over and over and over again, right? But it was doing more, but it was doing more harm to me than good. So it came to a point where I had to do just that. I had to step back. I had to separate myself, and I had to not put myself in situations that would constantly keep me on the hamster's wheel or listening to the broken record. And once I was able to do that, then I was able to process and realize, okay, this is what I contributed to it. This is what you did. I forgive you, but now I'm going to make the choice to love you from a distance. So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
because that was what was
unrealistic expectation, continuing to go into it, left you still. I get you.
Because some people they don't know how to forgive, number one. But the boundary that they need is to come out of the situation. Rather than constantly forcing yourself. Instead of constantly forcing it and making it worse.
What I was trying to say is that even if you do stay away, there still is a level of forgiveness and process that you still have to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can cut them out all you want.
Everything
but if you don't deal with it,
is identity and expectation.
If you don't deal with it,
you have to know your true identity to know how to separate yourself from that, right? You had to realize that I just kept hitting this brick wall, and I could not continue to allow myself to be in this unhealthy relationship. So you had to get into a space where you had to figure out who you were, what you were going to accept, what you weren't going to accept, but then not placing that expectation, because once you realized who you were, you realized that you were placing a higher expectation on someone that was not going to change.
Exactly.
And so that's where that lies.
So many different scenarios.
But I think that the number one thing for me is I love to look at the biblical aspect of it. And there are scriptures that actually gives us direction as to what to do. And there was a situation where two brothers have issues with each other, and I was doing some studies for one of my classes, and it led me to a scripture that said that if you're having a problem with your brother, and I'm paraphrasing that, basically you need to go to your brother, you need to talk to your brother, and then if your brother doesn't hear you, then you bring you bring 2 or 3 with you so that it can be worked out. And so that's one thing that we don't do in our situations. Oh, you angry, you upset. But you're not going to go talk to her. You're going to go talk to them.
To everybody but the person.
And so that's something that I also encourage. With forgiveness, there is no timetable. Do not expect to say, I'm choosing to forgive today. Okay, I'm choosing to forgive tomorrow.
But I'm glad you said that.
Yes, 2 weeks. Say that again.
This is a daily process. You're going to have to work through this. You're going to have to walk through this. You're going to have to crawl through this to get to that. And I'll share it quickly of an example where I forgave, and I didn't even know that I had forgiven. There was someone that I worked with, and they made me really, really upset. really upset. Like, I was hot every time somebody mentioned this person's name.
You was on fire.
I was boiling. It was just so much going on the inside. And then I want to say, maybe for a couple of weeks, you know how things digress and you're not there. But, you know, maybe 6 months in, somebody asked me about that person. And I was like, dang, what's her name? There was no feeling behind it. All I was trying to do was remember that name. And then God brought to my remembrance that you don't feel no type of way. And I was like, I'm forgiven. Yes. That is a crazy and amazing experience that you should do that. The scripture says in John 8:31-32 that you should have, 33-34, that you should, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you. And that you just, you know, it just continuously says over and over and over again how we should have that love for one another. And I always throw out there that if Jesus Christ forgave you, why do you find it so hard to forgive?
And I think that's where I always come from and why I was saying that, because I feel like as a Christian, allow me to go through this process. I'm going to go through this process, but the only way that I can move forward is that I have to forgive you. Mm-hmm. I have to. I don't know how, you know, some people that have been through major traumas and, you know, how they've processed. But I do know that even in what I've been through, that I don't care what that is and what that looks like. In my carjacking, all of that, I had to forgive that young man when it was happening, how it was happening, and then deal with the process as I went along. And I still continue to pray and forgive him in that process. And I think that's where I was coming from, because if Jesus Christ can forgive us daily for the things that we
70
do
times
daily,
7.
You know what I mean? And this is not, and he already knows, like, how and who am I not to forgive you? And I'm not saying that it's an easy process, because it's not.
No.
But even down to that family member, I have to. If I don't, I'll continue to hold that in, and that can be toxic. And
Absolutely.
So that means that every time I come around, I'm beefing with you, or I'm like, I don't even want to be here. I don't even want to see y'all. How do you live like that? And as a Christian, I just can't live my life knowing that every time I'll go around somebody or something, it's always, I can't stand you. Like, you did this to me and you did that to me. No, like, I'm good. Like, you good? Oh, okay, I'm good. All right. Guess what?
And I was going to say, I think that's the one thing that we do miss, is that holding on to unforgiveness. At the end of the day, that person or that other person, unless it's you, has moved on with their lives more than likely. They're not. But you're held captive by whatever you haven't forgiven while they're going on with your life. And I don't know about y'all, but when I was in that situation, it made me even more. It did.
But look, as you said, that brought
it made me hot as a firecracker.
To my mind. A lot of people don't realize how many health issues. 61% of people who have cancer have had issues it's related to unforgiveness.
Wow.
Let me see. You have heart disease. You have depression. Yeah. All of these different things. These are studies that have been tested that people who harbor unforgiveness have these things. Literally, there are 2 women that I know of that shared the moment that they have forgiven. They were told that they had cancer. The moment after they gone through treatment and everything, they released it. They were healed. No more cancer.
Wow.
You have to forgive.
Absolutely. And we can talk about this all night.
It's time.
I know. Yes.
What's your event?
Yes. You have some stuff coming up, and we want to make sure that our audience knows about it.
Right here, December the 1st, we are having the Uplift Project. That is a documentary with myself and 3 other amazing women who have just so freely shared their testimonies about forgiveness. It's a movement. I have Forgiveness Nation. It's a Facebook group. People can join that, and basically we're just sharing the message of forgiveness across the nation. Everywhere I go, I do Forgiveness Nation tour. People are like, oh, you set up? No, I don't set up. If I see you, I'm going to talk to you about forgiveness.
Yes.
It's a tour. I am spreading the message. So anybody who wants to join and be a part of it, this is nothing that I can do solely as an individual. It takes a nation. As a nation, if we forgive, we heal.
Tell me what time again?
Oh, it's going to be 4 to 6 p.m. on Eventbrite. If you go to Eventbrite, you can register and get your ticket. Okay. Because space is limited, but we're going to have some great things going on for you. There's going to be a live Q&A of the guests, the people that were actually in the documentary, and we're just going to have a great time.
And that's going to be
and
here.
Forgiveness right here
Right
at
here.
Urban Style Media.
Look at that. It's not even that far. Well, if you live in the DMV, it's not that far.
Awesome.
That is amazing.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
I'm definitely.
Get y'all tickets. Get your tickets.
And
Space is limited.
How can people get in contact with you if they want to be a part of the Forgiveness Nation? How can they reach out to you?
Well, you can easily join the group on Facebook. It's Forgiveness Nation. Or you can email me at www.KyonnaFBrown.com. And that's KYONNA FBrown.com. And I have to shake my head like this because I say like too many W's. But or you can text the word forgiveness to 484848. Text the word forgiveness to 484848, and you'll find out what's going on.
And when can people catch your show?
Oh,
because you are
every Friday at 6 p.m. here on Urban Style Media. It's Forgiveness Friday, and we are bringing in amazing guests who are sharing their testimonies of forgiveness. And if you're interested, we are booking for 2020. We have no more slots for this year, but I believe we are up to February. So you can go ahead and do that, and we'll be more than happy to share your testimony of resilience and forgiveness.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, we thank you so much for joining us. We do need to take a quick break, but when we come back, we will. We not?
Nope. 5 minutes.
Well, all right then. Sherri said we're not going to take a break. We're just going to finish up.
We're just going to wrap it on up, and I think that we've had it. Okay.
And we are going to take a break. Why? Because the producer and the engineer said so. So. With that being said, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back. This is B3rdPower here on Urban Style Media. Yes, we are live, and yes, we do have moments when things change, but that's all right. We'll be right back. Come on back.
When I was in the cell looking at the 15 to 30 years that I was supposed to be sentenced with, I was upset and I was angry with God because I did everything that my grandmother told me to do. If I prayed to God, then he would answer me. If I got on my knees, if I cried out to him, that he would make everything all right. And in that moment of being angry with him, there was a quiet voice in my ear because I was upset. I was just screaming like, you left me, you left me. And that voice said, I didn't leave you, you left me. And so you have a lot of reflection time, especially in prison where there's nowhere to go. And so I just started to really think about it because when I heard you left me, I'm trying to figure out, what do you mean that I left you? And I had left from serving the life that he wanted me to serve, going the opposite direction. And so I had started to look at everything. For an example, being in the alternative lifestyle was a choice that I made because I really didn't like men, and it was because of my dad. Not because they weren't interested in me. It was because I didn't have that relationship that I wanted with my father. And then I looked at, okay, well, I blamed my father for this, and then I blamed my father for that, and I blamed him for all of these other things. People have actions, but how we react is what matters.
Yes.
And so if I continue to react to his actions, then I'm no better than he is. I'm no better than the next person. And so what I had to do is realize that I had to let that go so that I could move on. I had to understand that they were not actions because of what he did. Yes, people do things all the time. Somebody might hit your car. That doesn't mean you haul off and hit them when they get out the car. Right. No, you understand that it's an accident. And I believe truly in my heart that it was not my father's plan to be distant or separate out of my life, but life happens, and I had to realize that from every action that he outplayed, that I had to make my own reaction, and it could not be one to get back at him.
Welcome back to B to the Third Power here on Urban Style Media. It has been such a magnificent episode. Doesn't it always kill you that time?
Forgiveness Monday.
Huh.
Forgiveness Monday.
And time always flies when you're having fun.
It does. It really does. You know, we could get into this conversation all day, and you know, it's the different scenarios of life and things that are going on that we apply these principles to.
Absolutely.
Know? And the soul of it all, is your spiritual connection. That's the soul of it all, from forgiveness. I don't care what you study, what you believe in, who you follow, whatever.
It's always bigger than you.
It's bigger than you.
Always.
In the process, in dealing with life and things and traumas and all of that, it's bigger than you. Mm-hmm. And forgiveness is a huge part of that process. So I'm so glad that you came on today.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate that one of the things that you highlighted for us tonight is forgiveness of yourself.
Definitely.
Because so often we hold ourselves to like this unbelievable standard, and it keeps us captive. It stops us from moving forward, and you're constantly reliving moments over and over again. But the moment has happened, like you said earlier, you learn from it, you pick up and you move on. But so many times we are so hard on ourselves and so unforgiving for the mistakes that we made. Mm-hmm. It's like we forget we're human or something.
And part of that forgiveness part is that communication piece. Because if you don't communicate it, then you keep it up in your head and it just festers even more and more. And you just play out these woulda, coulda, shouldas, all these different scenarios and what if and pointing fingers. And you've got to communicate this thing and talk to the people. And you have to talk to the people, the person that actually did it to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that it's powerful. It really is. Forgiveness is powerful. So we truly appreciate you for joining us in the studio.
Yes.
We love coming into the studios on Mondays, don't we?
Yes, and I so appreciate, look, she spends so much time laughing at us. Thank you for loving on us and supporting us. We're so glad she does. She posted in the comments, y'all are crazy. But then you got to be here with us and witness the craziness.
And you are welcome to come back anytime. Make sure you guys go to her Eventbrite, sign up to attend December the 1st.
Yes.
Forgiveness.
When I was in the cell looking.
The Uplift Project. Make sure that you do that. Go ahead. You know what you end with. Go ahead.
Oh, it's my turn. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we thank you guys so much for taking time out of your evening to join us. We hope that you got something out of what was shared tonight. Remember to forgive yourselves as you forgive others. Mm-hmm. But most importantly, remember today is a great day to make a difference in the lives of those that are around you. I'm Lynn Tate.
And I'm Sherri Cook.
And this has been B to the Third Power here on Urban Style Media. Have a great week.
See ya.